them the best of luck as well.
It sounds like one of those schools that gets about whoever they want. Bishop
Yeah,
Bro.
sounds like I'm sure it's a private school, so I don't know who some of the other teams are in the tournament, but we'll get more information out next week on that. Also, the softball team is in action again. They had a heartbreaking loss district game to Madisonville on Tuesday as well, and I think they were ahead in that game going into the seventh inning, and Madisonville, of course, is probably the top team in the region, and we really put a scare into the Lady Maroons, and our lady softball team's playing awful well also.
I thought I heard on the radio, don't they play again today or out this afternoon? I believe. I'm sure.
It was canceled yesterday. I see on here it was canceled yesterday, and I believe they do play today, and WPKY is carrying that game.
Right.
So tune in for the Lady Is that right, Jordan? They play this afternoon, weather permitting. Of course,
right.
We're going to talk more about the weather later in the show, and we hope to have a good outlook for this weekend to see how. Also, we mentioned David Forrester coming in
right.
and talking to us about the golf tournament and see what his alternate plans are as well.
I always like to give a little shout out to people that give me a plus on us just trying to be on here, and one of them was I saw Matt Ward last night, and he said he listens to us religiously, and I wanted to thank him for that. I know it's hard, Matt, doing that every day, but we appreciate it.
That's good.
And got to see our old buddy last night too. Old Clayton came over to see us. We hated for him to come in this manner. It was for Gary Childress's mom has passed, and he came over for visitation because they were all pretty close to the same age.
Yeah, Craig and I went up to the funeral home last night for visitation, and then we met you for a little bit.
Yes.
And, we got to visit some with Craig. Of course, he started his spring football practice, and he's one that we want to have on here as well
right.
to talk about the change and how it feels coming back to Hopkinsville, his old stomping grounds there, and returning as a head football coach. So we'll be talking to Craig here in the short future, hopefully.
Yes, sure will. Here we go.
Right now, we've got on the line with us Drew Harrington, Princeton native, that is a pitcher for the Florida Fire Frogs. Welcome to the show, Drew.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Drew, I talked to you yesterday on the phone, and, of course, I've been in contact with your dad some, Greg Harrington. Drew's parents are Greg Harrington and Tanya Murdoch Harrington. He was born here in Princeton, and he is now playing professional baseball in the Atlanta Braves organization with the Florida Fire Frogs. Drew, what is a fire frog?
Honestly, I've been playing for the team for 3 weeks now, and I really can't tell you for sure.
Do you have a mascot?
Yeah, we have a mascot. It's this big red frog that runs around at our games. But and it's kind of got like fire flames for eyebrows and stuff like that. But honestly, I can't really tell you what a fire frog is. Much more than that.
Drew, this is DT. I've never really met you. Of course, I was lucky enough to get to coach your dad my first year back to Princeton. I was from Princeton, and I know he and your mom real well. But I think a fire frog might be similar to what Gates and I went to school with as a hilltopper. It looks kind of like a
big red.
A big red, maybe.
Yeah. It looks almost identical to the hilltopper. But that's kind of funny that you come up with that comparison, because that is actually pretty accurate.
Well, listen, you sound just like your dad, so I feel like I'm speaking with him. We appreciate you taking your time, though, to do this. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.
Drew, we mentioned your dad. He was an outstanding athlete here at Caldwell County, and he was a three-sport star for the Tigers back in the mid-'80s, I believe. And I know he participated in football and basketball and baseball. And, what kind of influence has he had on your career?
Yeah, he's definitely had a huge influence on everything. But just most importantly, just how I treat people and things like that. It's not, not all about sports, and it's mostly about relationship with people and just how you interact with other people and things like that. Obviously, he's always pushed me in baseball and things like that. But without a doubt, the most important thing was just kind of other people and lifting them up and things like that.
Yeah, I would say he did a great job with it too. And I know pushing you, I know what you mean when you say pushing you. All he really did was want you to get out there and do your best. And once you start playing, you figure out real quick that you want to do your best. There's really no need to be there. And as far as being around other people, I can tell by you just speaking with us how easy it is for you to get along with about everybody.
Well, that's my goal. Everybody has that fiery competitive edge, especially when you're playing sports. But at the end of the day, what really matters is, like I said, just other people and caring for that person beside you.
Exactly.
Drew, just to give our listeners a little bit of background information on you, you were born here in Princeton, and
Correct.
And then after you wasn't here very long. Tell us.
No.
Tell us your adventure from Princeton to where you wound up.
Versailles is where they left. Is that where you left? Well, you wouldn't know. What were you, 3 months?
Yeah, something like. Obviously, I don't really remember. It was something like 3, 4, 5, 6 months, somewhere in there. We moved away from Princeton. Moved to Versailles, right outside of Lexington. Stayed there until I was 6. So right in the middle of my first grade year, in the fall of my first grade year, we ended up moving to Elizabethtown, and so that's where I finished my elementary, middle, and high school.
You attended Central Hardin High School, I believe, and
Yep.
As we were talking yesterday, a good friend of mine, Mike Lawson, was the head football coach there for several years. Of course, he was the head coach down here at Marshall County for a
Yep.
few years, and we played against one another. And I know that you know who he is, and I know he probably tried to get you to play football because I know you're a good-sized young man, about as big as your dad was.
Yeah. My sophomore year, I remember him coming up to me, and I'd never played football before in my life, and he came up to me and said, I want you to play. I even got out of class, actually, for a few minutes to talk to him. And he said, I want you to come play linebacker for me. And I'm like, I've never played football. And he's like, well, that's great, because that means you don't have any bad habits. But, yeah, he tried to get me to play, and I kind of thought about it for a few days. And my dad, since he had, obviously played in high school, he never told me not to play, but he always kind of acted like it wasn't really a great idea, just because we knew that baseball was kind of my sport. I had always been a little bit more gifted in baseball than other sports and things like that. So he kind of shied me away from that, just because I think it banged him up pretty well, or pretty good in high school.
Right, I'm sure it did. I agree with you 100%. But as far as you evidently were the one that needed to play baseball, because they don't give out too many full scholarships in baseball. And so if you got to go to U of L on a full scholarship, that meant that was pretty big.
Tell us a little bit about your experience at University of Louisville.
I loved it. I absolutely loved my time at Louisville. We at the end of my senior year, we kind of had a little bit of a decision, and ultimately it was my decision, but it was, it was a family decision also about whether I wanted to try to play professional baseball right out of high school, or end up going to school and working on my skills and working on, like I talked about earlier, just interacting with people and that sort of thing. But and then when you tell, of course, I'm not a huge fan of school, but when you tell two parents with master's degrees that you're not going to school, that really doesn't work out too well. So they really pushed me to go to Louisville. So went ahead and went up to the university, and my freshman year was an absolute train wreck. It was miserable. I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I pitched terrible And that's when I was like, high school's not college isn't high school anymore. You can't pump in a fastball right down the middle and get guys to swing right through it because
Right.
these guys are good and they see that kind of velocity every single day. So this is when you actually have to start learning how to pitch instead of throw. So the even though my freshman year was a train wreck and was really really a disappointing year, it was probably the biggest year, or without a doubt, it was the biggest year of growth for me, and the one that I needed the most. So, I mean, and I think that's true for really everyday life. Is even though you may struggle, those are where your lessons really are learned
Yeah.
through those kind of tough years or tough months or things like that.
Well,
Um,
well, you can imagine too, though. You were talking about making the decision whether you're going to college or going straight to the pros. It would have probably been even worse that first year if you'd have gone the other route.
oh, absolutely.
Were
Yeah,
you
absolutely. After being at Louisville for 3 years, my just perspective on the game and uh, my knowledge and my baseball smarts, as a lot of people will call it, is just is uncomparable compared to um, coming out of high school.
Yeah, and years and age make a little bit of difference too. I did the same thing. I was lucky enough to go play at Western, and I was on the what you call the taxi team. They call it worse than that, but I was on that for almost 3 years. And so,
Hmm.
it got to the point to where I was wondering myself. But eventually, if you hang in there, I got to play a little bit. But I know exactly what you're saying. That first
Oh
year
yeah.
is a different ball game.
Drew?
Oh yeah.
Drew, were you drafted out of high school?
I was not. So the way the MLB draft works, and a lot of people don't really understand it. There's 40 rounds, and um, everyone who just graduated high school and every 4-year college guy who's been there either 3 years or they've already had their 21st birthday, either one, is eligible for the draft. You don't have to put your name in like the NBA or NFL draft. It's automatically put in, and then they'll draft you, and you can decide whether you want to go or not. And so what these teams will do is they'll send out a lot of um, like packets and stuff of information, wanting to get information to you and stuff. And on all the packets that I filled out, I told them that I wasn't interested in being drafted, that I wanted to go and spend time at Louisville and learn under that coaching staff. So I ended up not getting drafted out of high school, and then, of course, went up to Louisville.
Well, I think that was probably a wise decision on your part. And of course, this past year you were drafted in the third round by the Atlanta Braves. And tell us a little bit about the transition from college baseball now to the professional ranks, and how the different classes that they have in pro baseball. We talked a little bit about that yesterday on the phone. So tell our listeners a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's a really complicated system, but I guess they have to have a system this big. But so you start off, um, you get drafted in June, and they have two forms of short season. They have what they call rookie ball, and then they have advanced rookie ball. And I was put in advanced rookie ball last year in the Appalachian League, and so that's where I played all last season. I threw 110 innings in college, so they said we want to slow you down, give you a break a little bit, so you'll go to Danville to the Appalachian League and only pitch about 10 innings. So that's what I ended up doing there. Then you'll have going in ascending order. You have Rome, which is our low A team, and then you'll have high A, which is where I am now, double A, triple A, and then the big league. So there's really 6 levels. If you start at the very bottom, there's 6 levels that you have to work through to get all the way to the big leagues.
And you could move up at any time. I mean, once they
Yep.
call you, even though you've only been 3 weeks with your team there in Florida, you could be leaving there in a short period of time as well, because you've had quite a bit of success thus far this season. And tell us a little bit about your record that you have this season and how your Florida Fire Frogs are doing.
Yeah, my personal record is 2-1 so far this year. We are, as a team, we took a loss last night, so we are now 9-12, which is actually a little bit surprising, just because we're really actually a really talented team. We have a lot of prospects on this team, but it's just not all clicking yet. But I mean, which it nobody's really too worried about it, because there's still 121 more games left. So full season baseball, you're playing every day. But so nobody's too worried about it right now. It's just one of those things where everybody seems to be slumping a little bit right now.
But in the league like that, though, you don't have to really worry about wins and losses. You just need to be able to perform, because people are watching you every day. So, isn't that correct?
Oh yeah,
As far as the wins and losses, they're not going to take you and move you up just because of somebody of your wins. Not necessarily on your team.
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is every league and every level leading up to the big leagues is all about player development. And then they really start to care about the wins and losses in the big leagues. Because that's obviously where it counts. So I mean, you might have you could have a pitcher that's 1-5, and he has a 1.2 ERA, and you look at his win loss, and you're like, good gosh, this guy's terrible. And then you're like, well, no, he's actually one of the better pitchers. He just hasn't gotten any offense to help him out, things like that. And then or you might have a guy that's 10-2, and he's got a 8 ERA, but his offense just shows up every time that he's on the mound. So you really can't look at stats too close, and that's what we have guys in our front office and guys who really break the game apart, looking at the things like that, just to make sure that they don't miss anything, because.
Right.
If they miss on that, it could really do a lot of damage to the player and to the team too.
One of the things I was going to ask too is when we talked to Emma Talley about her pro league now, and she's out playing on the pro tour, like yourself in college, she said the biggest thing for her was now it's a job.
Oh yeah.
It's what you get paid doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's still it's the same game that I've always played ever since I was young, and I'm sure for her she'd say the same thing.
Yes.
That the goal is to get into the hole in as few strokes as possible. For me it's get as many outs and as few pitches as possible. So it's the same game. The only thing is the players are a little bit better, a little bit more consistent. So that just demands that I be a little bit more consistent. So, but yeah, it's a completely different ball game. Like, I know we'll play a game, and my sleep schedule is completely ruined because of it. Because every game is at 7:00, except on Sundays, and so we'll show up to the ballpark about 12:30. And then, of course, we'll be leaving there about 11:30, and get back to the house. And, but you're just finishing up a game when you get back to the house, so your adrenaline's still pumping, so you're not going to sleep until 2. So this is actually the earliest I've been up. And I don't know how long to talk to you guys on the show. So.
I'm sure it is. I apologize for that. I know
you'd
rather be in
no
bed.
I enjoyed it. I need to get up a little bit earlier, because tomorrow's my start day anyway. So I need to get a little bit more sleep tomorrow. So maybe I'll fall asleep earlier tonight.
Well, good. Yeah, maybe we'll get your routine better. That might help a little bit.
Yeah, that would be all right with me.
Drew, we know your major goal is to make it to the major leagues as soon as possible. Do you have a vision? Do you have a plan in place that a time amount frame that you think that you'll be allowed to move on up the system?
If I had it my way, it would be tomorrow. I would be in Atlanta.
Right.
But
and the Braves are doing well right now. I noticed they're on a winning streak.
Yeah, they got off to a slow start, but they're playing the Mets right now. Either they have one more game in that series, or they finished it up last night, and they're they're playing all right. So, that'd be great if they can keep that rolling. So I mean, if everybody's winning up there, then everybody else is happy throughout the organization. So
If they can keep it if they can keep it rolling and need one more pitcher, it'd be wonderful.
yeah. One more left-handed pitcher.
There you go. That's true.
Yeah.
You're throwing on the right side of the ball for people that need left-handers. That's good.
And
Oh yeah.
and throughout a grinding season, as you mentioned, as many games as you play, there's a lot of pitchers that go on that DL or on the list, disabled list, and that's when you can get that call at any time when injury occurs, and they may call you up at any time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That and September. The big leagues are kind of known for September call-ups. So, they what they do is just basically take on some extra guys on their roster for the rest of the season to kind of finish out the season. Because my season will end the beginning of September, and so what they do is call up a few extra guys, and they don't actually have them on the 25-man roster, but they have them up there in Atlanta ready in case somebody goes down and they need to fill in. So September is a very important and sometimes big time of year for a lot of guys, because that's when a lot of young players will make their debut.
Well, Drew, we've talked a little bit about your parents. And their roots here in Caldwell County, Greg and Tanya. Of course, I taught school out with Tanya at the high school for a couple years, and before y'all left. You also have some grandparents living here, and
Yep.
You have your grandfather on your dad's side, Bill Harrington, and of course you got Lloyd and Barbara Murdoch on your mother's side living here. And of course, I see Lloyd and Barbara all the time at the fitness center, and they kind of keep me up to date on you. Even though I hadn't, personally met you, I've seen you at church a few times, and I've seen you around here in Princeton. I know they have a big influence on you as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They give me just as much support as grandparents can. Constantly checking up on actually everyone in my family. It's really, really actually pretty neat. I have two uncles on my mom's side. They both keep up with me, check in with me. How are you feeling? I mean, I don't know if I tell them that I'm sore, I don't know if they're going to come massage me out or anything, but, they care, and that's great. It's really, really neat just to see how much and hear how much support I am actually getting.
Well, we'll rub it in on them and tell them that we got to talk to you a whole lot earlier than they ever do.
Yeah, you can definitely tell them that.
Do they get to come and watch you? Have they been able to come? I know you hadn't been with the team you're with for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sure if they hadn't came, they're planning on coming down to watch you pretty soon.
Yeah, well, my parents came. They were here my first start of the season, the first Saturday of the season, and so they got to see that, and then headed out right after my start. So that was really neat to see them. They were actually here for a whole week, and then my grandparents came down. Let's see, I think they were down here during spring training. Yeah, they were, because they were down here at the same time my agent was. And they came down for spring training, saw one of my outings at spring training, and spent some time with them. So that was really neat to see them. So that's the last 2 family visits I've had. So hopefully somebody will come down before too long.
Well, Drew, I'm going to ask you this one other question here, and I know you're stretched for time. You were here back in January for Caldwell County Alumni Baseball Banquet. And you was the featured speaker at that banquet. Tell us the message that you sent to the baseball players and the alumni while you were here.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of encourage them and tell them a little bit about, my story and what things that have helped me along the way. And, and like I said earlier on the show, just tell them that, that your relationships with, your teammates and things like that, because, you'll never get your friends in high school back. And, once high school's over, you kind of move on. You might go to college and make some good friends and stuff like that. But it's nothing really like a good high school friend. So I just wanted them to realize the opportunity that they had, and I knew that went to state last year, and obviously I knew that they'd probably have a good team again this year. So and actually won a state championship in 2011 with my high school, so I kind of know what it's like, what it's been like to be in their shoes, and so just to kind of encourage them a little bit and help them out, and hopefully tell them some words that might stick with them throughout the season.
Well, from what I'm hearing, that message is it can happen here. If it can happen to Drew Harrington, it can happen here to a player at Caldwell County High School as well. They just got to, put forth the effort and the determination and dedication that you've provided with, and the sky's the limit, basically. And Drew, we really do appreciate you taking time out. We've been very impressed with your interview here, and we want to wish you the best of luck. I know you mentioned you have your next start is tomorrow night. Is that correct?
Yep, tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, and I know Todd Griffin here with the Times Leader keeps everyone here in Princeton and Caldwell County updated on your progress, and it's always good to see Princeton natives move on and do really great things.
Drew, DT,
right.
again, just keep your positive attitude, buddy, and we sure appreciate it. We'll be pulling for you, man.
All right, and thank you guys very much.
You're more than welcome.
Go back to bed.
We've been talking to Drew Harrington, the pitcher for the Florida Fire Frogs. You're listening to Tiger Sports Talk with Gator and DT. We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsor.
You already knew that Trice Hughes in Princeton has the #1 service department in Western Kentucky, but did you know that when it's time for a new set of tires, we have you covered for that also? Our tire experts, Jeff Brandon, Garrett Harper, and Kathy Capps, have a combined 84 years of experience, and they are ready to serve you on any make and model vehicle. You'll be surprised at our competitive pricing on name brands such as BF Goodrich, Michelin, Goodyear, Yokohama, Cooper, and Uniroyal. Trice Hughes is also the only tire dealer in town to offer the economy price Kenda brand tire. All tires are road force balanced, providing you with the most comfortable ride possible, and rotations are free as long as you own your tires. Call the tire experts at Trice Hughes today. Quotes are free and the deals are worth the call. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton. What does your service appointment at Trice Hughes do? Glad you asked. Here at Trice Hughes, we give a true 27-point inspection with each vehicle service. We change your oil, check fluids in your transmission, coolant system, power steering, washing fluid, and brakes. Then we inspect your tires, wiper blades, brakes, air filter, belts, hoses, drive boots, and exhaust system. Shoo, that's a lot. Keeping your vehicle maintained at Trice Hughes in Princeton is your best chance of a long and happy vehicle life. Call today for your appointment, 270-365-5522, Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton.
Back here at Tiger Sports Talk at 103.3 FM, The Tiger with Gator and DT. Our next guest we now have with us here live in the studio, Mr. David Forster, who is the tournament chairperson of Princeton Golf and Country Club. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
We appreciate you coming in this early. I wouldn't.
Well, I got the privilege to actually I was at the school this morning at 7:30. I got the privilege of going up there. That Sawyer got the Student of the Month, or one of the many that were honored today. So me and Andrew got to go up and see that. So I was up plenty early. So I'm doing really good today.
That's wonderful. That's good.
That's great.
Proud of him. That's great.
Yes.
Well, David, this is a big weekend here in Princeton, and at Princeton Golf and Country Club, we have our first tournament, the two-man. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, and actually, I mean, obviously, there's plenty of weather forecasters out there today or this weekend, but we got a really good field, and I'm excited about it. I'm always excited about the tournaments. We got 36 teams signed up right now. It's it's a really good field. We've got some really good players coming in. So
including myself.
Including both of you guys. Both of you guys are entered. Y'all always support our tournaments, and I appreciate that. So, like I said, we're very excited about that.
Well, we know that, this is the first tournament that we're hosting here at Princeton. We have several tournaments throughout this year, and there's also some changes going on out at the country club. Tell us a little bit about those changes.
That's very true. Actually, this is the first of the tournament, of the open tournament of the year, but it's also, I guess you could say, it's the last one. This will be the last one we actually have on completely full bent grass greens. So obviously the course is there's going through some changes out there, which I personally think are really good. We're going to be converting over to Bermuda grass greens, which is kind of the trend in the area. And I think it's only going to help. I think it's going to help everything, not only our club, the tournaments, the conditions that we're playing on. I'm really excited about it.
What is the plan for the putting in the new greens?
Well, from what I've heard, the greens actually have already been sprayed. They have to be sprayed 5 to 6 times to kill the bent grass greens, and they're going to be put in 2 phases. The first phase, I understand, they're going to be put in 9 holes at a time. They're going to be put in on May 18th is the first phase, and we've hired a guy from outside of the county to come in and oversee that. He's got a lot of experience and I've heard a lot of good things about him to oversee that. And then I think the second phase, the second 9 is in July. I think it's like July 12th, I think is when the second phase goes in.
And I think they're also looking for volunteers for those 2 days to help. No, I'm serious, to
definitely.
help with the sprigs on the greens and all that. So if anybody listening, don't forget, on the 18th of May, that's our first one. They'll explain the next one. But I don't know. We used to try to do a lot of help out there, and anymore, it's hard for me to bend over and put any sprigs in the ground. But anybody that feels like they want to help, I think he needed like maybe 18 volunteers.
I can remember some 25 years ago, I guess it was, when we sprigged the fairways, and we had a lot of volunteers. I think that was spearheaded by Johnny Jaggers when he was president of the club. And I mean, our course is a beautiful 18-hole golf course, and it's very vital for this community to keep it. And we've gone through some struggles, but we're in the process of, trying to save it. And there's been a lot of people step up and help us, and we're looking for even more help possible because our community wants to continue to grow and to bring industry in. A lot of people look at having a country club, and of course we have a very, very nice clubhouse and tennis courts and swimming pool and and just a beautiful 18-hole golf course.
Well, without a doubt. And what always has impressed me, and you guys have supported our tournaments as long as I've been doing them, but it always impresses me of the people from outside the county that come and play, which we get fantastic support in the county. That's without question. But then outside the county, because like just for the 2-man, we've got guys coming. We started getting guys coming back from Hopkinsville. We get a good group from Madisonville. We've got them coming from Marshall County all the way down to Mayfield. So people like playing our course, and with these the green improvements they're coming, I think it's only going to get better. I mean, the 4-man is already an outstanding tournament. It's a very good money generator for the club, and I think the 2-man can get there as well. As far as you throw in Prince and Princess as well, so I think it can only help.
I went out. We played the other day. I was on the course. I didn't play very well, but anyway, they've made
Folks,
the greens
don't let him
a lot.
fool you.
Oh yeah, me fool you nothing. The greens are going to be a little bigger.
Yes.
From what I saw, where they marked them, where they're gonna, which they need to be. Some of those greens, of course, they ain't big enough for me. But anyway, it's I agree with all you all saying. I think it's vital that we try to keep this course because even as a small kid, we had a little the young black patch tournament, and had people spending the night with all of us, and it was a big deal. And of course, golf, honestly, a lot of younger generations not playing as much golf as they did because there's so much else. The young families have to take their kids to these baseball tournaments and the softball tournaments and basketball everywhere. They go all the time. But it's still an awful nice course for a small town, and it's a good facility. We need to keep it going.
It really is. And you mentioned the people from out of town that love coming to Princeton and playing in our tournaments. And I'm from Hopkinsville, Christian County. I wasn't an avid golfer until I got older. And but I had friends that were, and I know they look forward to every summer coming to the Junior Black Patch. And of course, Coach Al Giordano ran that tournament for years. And you mentioned that they'd come over and they'd spend them, during the week. And I mean, it was an outstanding tournament, and they had plenty of golfers that come around. But DT, you just mentioned a very vital point. This day and time, you know, we've got AAU basketball, we've got 7-on-7 football, we've got travel softball, travel volleyball. I mean, we've just got numerous activities going on during the summer, and it's taken away from our youth out there playing golf, and those are our tomorrow future members.
Yes, you're right, and you'll see this weekend when we're out there playing that. Now we do have a few younger teams coming to play, which that's always encouraging when you can get there. I always say when
Flat
you get
bellies.
yeah, exactly. When you can get people that haven't played, because you get a lot of the same people, and you see and that's what I like about the other tournaments. You see the same people year after year. They come back. But you see the new teams coming. That's like just a bonus for me. That just gives you some more players to build on. And one thing also is that the community supports it so good as far as donations for close to the pin prizes, and I've been able to get sponsorships for several of the tournaments. That just helps. The bottom line is paying back, and I always try to pay back as much as possible. Obviously, the club wants to make some money too, but pay back. If you pay back, then people will come back.
Yeah, and have a nice course.
Yeah,
and our course is everything right now is nice. Our traps are as good a shape as they've been in a long time, and the fairways, when they're able to keep them all mowed here with all this rain. But
The roughs are a little rough.
even I'm going to tell you, though, even the greens now, that since they've sprayed them and all, their putting as well now are better than they did when they were bumpy and mowed them, So I think the tournament week will be fine. The 2 days or whatever we're playing.
Right. We may have to, like I said, we may have to dodge a little rain, but obviously we keep an eye on the forecast and do what's safe. It looks like Saturday. I think we'll be fine tomorrow.
It looks
Sunday we might have to dodge a little bit, but it did the same thing last year. Last year, right before we started, it rained really, really hard, and I actually had to delay it an hour, and then we got started, and then we got finished and didn't have any issues at all. But you were talking about the course conditions. Had a buddy come over and play Wednesday from Hopkinsville. And I told him, I said, fairways and greens, stay out of the rough. we have U.S. Open quality rough right now.
You're right.
We do.
Yeah.
And we're looking for volunteers there as well, I believe, on those mowers out there. David, you mentioned that this is probably going to be the only tournament that's played due to reconstructing the greens out there. I know, is the Chamber still going to have their golf tournament?
No, they messaged me this week, and they're going to postpone it. What we're going to do, and
with only 9 holes, it's going to be open
Right.
after this tournament.
Well,
correct?
the May 18th is when it starts.
May 18th,
so,
okay.
but what the board or what the committee that's kind of reorganizing the things out there, what we've talked about is basically just seeing how the greens grow in. Because there's such a time gap in between the two the spriggings of the greens. So if they grow in really well, maybe we'll be able to have one sometime in July or something, maybe the double couple. And then obviously we'll see what happens with the 4-man. The 4-man will be a challenge because obviously it'd be very hard to have on 9 holes because we had 144 players out there last year at one time. So like I said, what I would love to have happen, we have a fantastic growing year, and then by say late August, early September, end of September, we could have maybe Prince and Princess on full, really good Bermuda greens. That would be fantastic.
Gator, that'll be you.
I don't know about that.
Prince and Princess.
Yeah. Well, David, we appreciate you coming in. And once again, in the morning, tee time is at
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. You need to be there. If you're out there playing, you need to be there early, probably around 8. I think that's when you start collecting all the money and giving all the cards out to the players and going over the rules and regulations of the tournament. And I'm sure there may be some altercations if rain does occur that, there may be some stipulations there. But right now it's scheduled for 9 a.m. in the morning. And on Sunday it's at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock tee time. Of course, I think Sunday afternoon is when the worst of the weather is supposed to be here. So, there may be some altercations there that, we may have to plan around, but we sure appreciate you coming in and talking to us about the 2-man golf tournament here in Princeton. And DT, you got any final thoughts?
I just thank him and his wife for what they've done for Princeton and Caldwell since they've been here, and we appreciate you both.
We really appreciate David because he took over this, and it's not easy being a tournament
No.
chairperson, and I mean, you have to listen to some.
You got to be about half deaf.
You do. Let it go in one ear and out the other.
It's kind of like being married.
Everybody's an expert, when it comes to putting on tournaments. But David does a great job out here, and we appreciate him taking time out to come and talk to us. You're listening to Tiger Sports Talk on 104.9. 103.3. I done went back
You're
to 104.9.
You're out.
WPKY. Well, they're both in my mind. But
I almost did it the other day.
Let's take time out for these commercials, and we'll be right back.
So you're sitting at home, relaxing after a hard day at work. You would like to shop for a vehicle, but simply didn't have the time today. Well, thanks to modern technology and your friends at Trice Hughes, you can pick out the perfect vehicle, get an estimated trade-in value, and even submit a credit application from the comfort of your living room. Visit TriceHughes.com, and in just a few short minutes, you could be on your way to a new car, truck, or SUV. Trice Hughes Incorporated makes it simple to shop from the comfort of your own home. That's TriceHughes.com, Highway 91 North in Princeton. Trice Hughes in Princeton wants to remind everyone that we have a full line of genuine GM and Mopar parts and accessories for your car, truck, or SUV. We also offer Retrax bed covers. You have to see to believe how awesome they are. WeatherTech floor mats are a must for folks with little people and moms and dads that want to keep their entire carpet protected. Make your truck or SUV stand out with chrome accessories such as 20-inch wheels and tires, running boards, mirror covers, and door handles. Need a gift idea? Adding remote start will surely please your loved one. Call Shauna today for all your accessory needs. 270-365-5522. Trice Hughes Incorporated, Highway 91 North in Princeton.
Back here at WPKY 103.3 FM, The Tiger. I got it right that time, DT.
You did good. You're real good.
104.9. We have with us on the phone line Mr. Steve Catlett, former Princeton resident and football player at Webster County High School that has a lot of Princeton ties here. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Steve. Appreciate you being here, buddy. I'm sorry it took us so long. We got to rambling. You know Gates, he can't be quiet.
I know. I was going to tell you, that golf course is beautiful. It's always been one of my favorites. He and I have probably seen some pretty places nobody else ever has.
Yeah.
Hey, are you playing in the two-man this weekend?
No, I haven't played golf. With my injuries last year on my knees, I haven't played golf once. So I'm afraid to twist on it.
I hear you. I don't blame you. I don't need to be playing either, the way I play anyway. But we're glad to have you, buddy, and we just wanted to have you on and talk a little bit about your new adventure. When you told me you were doing a little coaching now back in it, I thought we might give your boys a little bit of pub, and then we'll have you back on for a little longer segment. But
That's good, guys. Yeah, I'm really excited. I got the opportunity to help Zach LaGrange, his second year as a head coach there. He played at Kentucky State. He played offensive guard, and he brought his roommate with him, Andre McCall. He was a center. So got a bunch of young coaches, other than me, and a bunch of young kids, but they work hard. We're pretty excited right now.
it sounds like you got enough. It sounds like you got the line covered anyway.
Yeah, we do.
you
Anyhow,
with all three of you, y'all playing the line. That's good. But anyway, how you think you're going to be? How you looking?
Well,
I'm sure you hadn't been there that long yet, but
no. Well, I've been through. They work hard to wait. We've been out a week and a half outside. We got a lot of juniors and freshmen. We're going to have some young kids. We only got 3 seniors. 2 of those guys are in the offensive line. Right now, we'd like to run the ball a lot. We'll see how that goes. We'll put some teams in and working. Changing the defense, we'll run a different defense than we ran last year. But we've got a nose guard that I think can create some havoc back there, and quarterback's pretty quick. Working on that zone read with him, so I think we'll win some games.
well, good. I like watching the running game anymore. I'm getting about half tired. I feel like I'm go to a tennis match every time I go to a football game anymore. And the one good thing about your running game, if you get it going, you can at least keep the ball and keep it away from the other team.
Absolutely.
Well, anyway, I'm glad you're over there, buddy. We can do some serious. We'd like to come over there one day and just
Put a clinic on.
see you guys.
No.
We want you to.
No, we're gonna come over there and you put us on a clinic. We don't need.
Yeah,
that.
no, it's It's been fun. I mean, the kids have been real receptive. I did have a funny story this week. We were the practice field. We were looking at the high school, and this running back asked me, where did you play? And I said, well, I play here and at Western. And he said, looked at me real funny. He said, well, how long has this high school been here?
That was a good one.
I tell you what, I don't want to take your time up, but you told that story. I've got to tell one too. I had a little boy in my office at the middle school and had a picture of our team in '73 when we played out in California.
Right.
And he was a nervous wreck looking around. I just said, well, heck, just keep looking. And so I didn't want to tell him to sit down. He looked around, saw that picture, and he said, what's that? And I told him, and he said, 1973. He said, I didn't know they had football back then. I thought, well, you little smart aleck, made me mad.
Steve, I know it's Gator.
Yeah.
I know this is your first coaching stint, and with your age and all, and of course you can relate back to your playing days back when you played at Webster County High School, and I believe that you played with Pete Walters, and and I know you had some local ties here that was on the coaching staff at the time, and Coach Richie Hughes, he was your coach, and I believe was Walter Hawkins your head coach?
Right. Well, Ricky was my head coach my freshman sophomore year, and Ken Sheridan was the assistant all 4 years, and Hawk was the head coach my junior and senior year.
I'll be darned. Yeah, Ken Sheridan. He's an old Princeton boy.
He's a Princeton guy. Yeah. I talked to him. In fact, they changed. We had a football Hall of Fame at Webster County for the past 10, 12 years, and they're changing it and making it an athletic Hall of Fame. They're going to bring guys into the athletic Hall of Fame, but they're putting the 77 team in this first class, which was my senior year. We won the first district championship over there and some other things, some other firsts. And I talked to Sheridan last week, and I had to call the coaches, and he just had knee replacement surgery. So he's having a hard time. He doesn't like it rehabbing much, but he's doing real well. He's going to come down August 25th and be with us. And I'm going to try to run find Hawk. Last time I talked to Hawk, he wasn't doing great, but we're going to run up Shelbyville next week, I think, and try to get Hawk lined out where he can be here too.
Yeah, old Ken was a year older than Ken was a year older than myself, and he was a real good guy. He's a good athlete. He played everything. He baseball. He played it all.
And he's one of a kind. He's a real special man.
He really is. Sure is.
Well, Steve, I know you went on after high school. You played at Western Kentucky University under the tutelage of Butch Gilbert. Have you incorporated any of those old drills we used to do in the offensive line? And
we're working on the steps, and they call it double. We call it stoop and step around. I had to find some pictures. I was cleaning out a garage the other day that my sister took in '80, I guess, and it shows Mark Blackburn and myself a whole lot on that side, and just some techniques. You can see where he bumped it. The end went out. He bumped in. He's looking on that linebacker. But yes, we're trying to work on those steps and that flipper. Those guys don't know what a flipper is. They're by the foul.
Right. You hadn't taught them how to hold yet, have you? Way Coach Gilbert on pass blocking when you grab them and take them to the ground.
Yes, but you got to get your fingers under those shoulder pads and then you just throw your feet and pull them right down on you. Yes, we've worked on that already.
Well, I'll tell you, football really hasn't changed that much, and I know this is probably your first stint as a coach.
Right.
But it all falls back to the basic fundamentals and blocking, tackling, running, catching, throwing, all of those. You look at the way the new offenses are, and of course now they teach all the blocking, with the extension of your arms, keeping them out, and of course back we used to put the eyes on the number.
Right.
And we're taking the head out of the game to, of course, alleviate the concussions. And tell us, has that been a big change for you having to, go from the way you play to now the way they have to play?
Yes, it has. And we play with our hands a little bit at Western on pass blocking, especially. Had our hands out in front of us. But
right.
I'm still a shoulder and forearm guy. And when you're run blocking. I'm not a big advocate of using your hands. I think you get on and go. And Phil Andre, he's 23, 24 years old. So he's come through that new bunch. But I'm listening to him and picking the brains of some people. I saw Charlie Bob Ferris over in Union County this morning. Talked to him a little bit.
Sure.
I talked to Marty Jaggers a time or two, and you guys. And I don't want to step on any toes, but Yeah, I'm convinced. I'm like you. I'm convinced if you get them out in the stance correctly, and they get that first step right, the rest of it pretty much take care of itself. You know?
Yeah,
So,
football is still football.
Right.
yeah,
And
right.
of course, I go back. Now you see these offensive linemen in 2-point stances, whereas we always put our hand in the dirt. I don't. Maybe when we had a pass play call, we'd be in an up position, but primarily, we put that hand on the ground, and
That's right.
you don't see that as much anymore.
No, our guys do. We go down and try to get both sides, but especially offense down in the stance every play, and they just if they don't get that hand down, they're not going to stay down. They're going to stand up. Somebody's going to get up under them, and it's done.
That's right.
Or what I've seen so far this spring.
How many kids you got right now?
So about 30 out this spring, and we've got some playing travel basketball, some playing baseball.
Yeah.
I think we'll have between 40 and 45. I think Zach's done a really good job. We've got almost 20 freshmen and 15, 16 juniors. We're going to have to rely on some young ones, but we got some of those freshmen are pretty talented. They've lifted weights. Of course, in the spring they can't go against drills against the upperclassmen, but they're going against each other, and there are a couple, a wide out and a quarterback that are really good. They're going to play. They're going to contribute, I think.
Well, you just, you at schools like you all and over here, you just have to pass them around. I mean,
Absolutely.
And if they want to play something one day in the spring and come back the next day to something else, you almost have to work with them.
That's the only way to be successful in
Yes.
2A schools, 1A schools. I agree.
And, it's the only way to be a kid, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, my goodness. Why would you want to try to be a pro when you're a freshman?
Right. And generally, every sport you play makes you better at your main sport. Wrestling helped me in football.
Sure.
I wasn't much of a wrestler, but it made me quicker.
It sure did.
Sure did.
And it made you want to hurry up and get back to football.
You doggone right.
And Walt Hawkins made sure you wrestled, too. Wasn't he the wrestling coach?
He made sure I wrestled, and I had to wrestle Pete for a year and a half.
Oh,
and that made it even worse.
yeah.
Hey, Steve, let's talk a little bit about Caldwell County, Webster County rivalry. That used to be, one of the most look forward to games. I know when I coached, I always looked forward to playing against Webster County. Of course, now I don't even think they play one another, do they?
No, they're not on the schedule. We're not in the same district, so it's not on the schedule. And I don't know why I haven't asked Zach that yet. But when I was a freshman, we went and scrimmaged. We scrimmaged on where the field is now. The stands weren't built yet. It was Richie's first year, and he was so tickled to go down there and fired up about going in there. Of course, we had some things go wrong, and there was a fight.
Surely not.
He said, "Get your helmets on, get on the bus." We rode back to Dixon and ran for a while. But my sophomore year then we played sophomore and junior years, and two good ball games. We had a really good ball game down there. And I think Webster County only won 3 or 4 of them through all those years, but it was always fun, and it was especially fun for my family because of our Caldwell County ties.
Yeah, it was always close usually. I mean, seriously, over there, I know when we went every time we went over there, it was usually a close ball game.
And
we
of course,
generally never had the speed to keep up with some of those guys, but other than that, it was always fun.
My question is now, is the lighting improved over there?
No, it hasn't. But they got.
Hey, let me tell you, back when we played, while I was here at Caldwell, and I can't remember who the coach was. I just went blank. But anyway, did a great job of running the belly, and we could not find the football because it's the same color as your jerseys, and the lighting wasn't very good, and we just had a horrible time trying to find the football over there, and there were some dead spots, due to the lack of lighting, but
there still are. No, it has improved, but I think
Gene Rollins, he come back to me. Gene Rollins was
Coach Rollins. Okay.
Yeah, Coach Rollins.
They've got one bank changed, and I think that's in the budget to change that lighting out. And part of it is the type of poles they're on too. They have to upgrade those poles.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of mandated they have to be done.
And I think
that's why we're painting everything. The helmets are going to be maroon. Everything we got is going to be maroon. That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, there you go. I know you've got a new superintendent over there that actually she's not new. She's from there, and I know she's very athletic minded, and she's trying to get the programs, not just football, but all the athletic programs turned around. Can you tell us a little bit about her and the impact she's had on your community?
Yes, Rachel's she's a fine one.
Rachel Yarborough.
Played basketball there, right? And played basketball there. She is very supportive of the athletic programs, and I know that we got their new uniforms this year. The kids did a good job in their lift fund. They raised a little over $3,000 with that, but that money's for them, to buy practice for them. But there's new uniforms, like the helmets are getting painted. She's supportive, and I think Zach's looking for another coach, and they're working on trying to find a spot for him in the system. So, I think it's on the rise. I hope. I think maybe we have a lot of things in place. The last year when I watched them was the first time in several years that I've seen enthusiasm and excitement out of those kids, and they actually they look like a football team on the field, and so he's actually doing a great job with them. They respect him, they respond to him, and we have fun, but we also work hard, and I think that things are in place to get the program back kind of the direction it needs to go.
Good deal. That's great. We're looking forward to being hopefully maybe we can pick you guys up again, because we're having to change schedules and pick up teams and here and there, and it's good to play it. Are you all? What are you all?
You're
now?
class 2A, right?
You're 2.
Yeah, we're in Mayfield, Murray.
Oh, okay.
I looked at our schedule.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Y'all got Mayfield now.
But guys, I looked. You're probably not supposed to talk like this, but I'm gonna talk anyway. I looked over the schedule, and I think 7 of the 10 games we have a legitimate shot at those games, and
well, that's good.
Just all things being equal. I mean, the Murrays, the Mayfields, the Union counties that are bigger than us. So, that's tough. It's tough for anybody to play those guys year in year out.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that we can't, but I'm just saying that 7 of them, we ought to be right in the middle of the mix. So.
Yeah. And that's something to shoot for too, though. At least when you play those teams, you can say, "Look, here's where we need to get."
Absolutely, and you go through those 1 and 2 win seasons, and if you can stick 5 or 6 on the board, that does a whole lot. That gets more kids out.
Yep.
The next year,
Well, and you run through sections of kids too. That's just the way it goes. You might have a great freshman class, and the next year you might not have that good of a class. Just you got to wait for them sometimes.
Right, that's right. Yeah, that comes around. And Caldwell County is a perfect example. Every 20 or so years, you're going to have something really, really special over there.
Yeah.
That's kind of the concern. So.
Well, Steve, I know you're pressed for time as well as we are, but I got to mention 2 people that really were instrumental in your program over there. And Eric Hogg, number 1, he was a good friend of mine, and we lost Eric way too soon. And he had just a great impact on Webster County football. And of course, his top assistant was Scott Willard, and he took the reins over from there. And y'all had some really good years. And what about the impact that he had on the program there?
Well, we see it every day when we go in that locker room. We got that blockhouse on top of the hill, nice locker room, a weight room that was much better than the weight rooms we had when we were Western guys. And then they had there's a business in Providence maybe that closed, and they've got a whole room just of the equipment like you have at the Y or Fitness Formula.
Yeah,
right.
The automated equipment, and so you see it every day there. And I revert back to those days, talk to those kids about. I think you get in a rut and you feel like you can't win, and there's proof there that you can win at Webster County. It takes a special, maybe a little extra effort, some leadership on the team, and holding some guys accountable. But we talk about those good days, those good teams a lot. I do. Yeah. And then yes, Willard, just kept on. But when you pull up, you see that's the blockhouse name for Coach Hogg.
I'll never forget that morning that your sister Regina called me and told me about the passing at project graduation, I believe, and it's just unbelievable. And
they were at the school at one of the either prom stay over or graduation stay over, one of the 2. Yeah. And it was just a bad thing. He was way too young. But he left an indelible mark at Webster County, I think. Yeah. I feel like he did, yeah.
Well, Steve, we sure appreciate you calling in and sharing this information on the Webster County Trojans. And we want to wish you the best of luck in your coaching endeavors. And we want you to come by sometime when you got time on a Friday morning. And maybe, in early fall during the season, you can come down and share with us and keep us updated on the Webster County Trojans.
Okay, guys. I appreciate it. The time, and go Trojans.
Thank you, and Muskrat said hello to you.
All right, later, guys.
All right, buddy. See you.
All right.
Bye.
You've been listening to Steve Catlett, assistant football coach at Webster County High School, former Princeton resident. And DT, that about finishes us up this morning. We went over a little bit.
Yeah, we got a little windy, didn't we?
We did, but we had a great show. We had some really good guests on. Drew Harrington, we appreciate him taking time out, calling in, keeping us updated on his progress. And David Forster for coming by and sharing about the Princeton two-man golf tournament this weekend, and finishing up with Steve Catlett.
Yeah, we want to thank everybody for listening, the ones who have and the ones who haven't. Give us a shot, and thank old Ty for being ahead of us and doing a great job already every Friday morning.
He does, and appreciate Jordan, our man Jordan Dunn here on the controls and keeping us informed of the weather. He's made some bold predictions for this weekend.
Yes, he has.
And he thinks we're going to be okay tomorrow, so hopefully we'll get the golf tournament in. And once again, we appreciate everyone for tuning in and listening to Tiger Sports Talk, and we look forward to coming to you again next Friday. So tune in to Tiger Sports Talk at 103.3 FM, The Tiger.
New car and truck buyers, listen up. It's the time of year that the 16s are rolling out and the 17s are rolling in. At Trice Hughes Incorporated, we offer 7 new American car lines to choose from, awesome trade-in allowances, end-of-the-year model rebates, and great financing options. Some people think they have to go out of town for a great